This one's got labels which you can't read. I think I've covered most of them. I've covered most of those. Rest you want to just go on. This one gives you a bit of more of a close-up around that pond feature. This pond feature is, in terms of water features, larger than Commonwealth Park. It's of a scale similar to Circular Quay and some other places. I mean, you won't see tall ships and you won't see, the Queen Mother's but we can imagine them. But it won't happen. We got built in there, but it won't actually sell anyway. But in terms of landscaping, some of this landscaping here up is 80 metres wide. Now 80 metres wide is probably almost twice as wide as Northern Avenue is about 50 metres wide. This is substantially wider. We've got some more detail on that. In terms of, there's been some commentary in the newspapers recently about the caretaker's cottage. It's been identified for retention on this knoll here in open space. And there's some other places of significance around the area that we've also, after discussions with Jenny Farrell, she identified some other places of significance to people who currently live outside the ACT. We've looked at how we can retain that feature for that family. And we're also looking at, she identified there's a couple of locations where there's some contamination that she is aware of, and she's happy for us to have our consultants who are looking at contamination audits in the area to make contact with her to where she can identify where they are. So we've identified that as for retention, and we're working on how to identify all the contamination in the area and some other places of significance in the area. In terms of, I might just go on one more rest to see if there's. This is a bit more detail on that southern part, that's the CIT Arboretum. Gives you a feel for the open space in the area. The idea is that this interface between existing Weston and proposed North Weston would be retained certain significant vegetation here. The CIT Arboretum, subject to some further survey work in that area, closer to when once the CIT have made a decision to go. But also in here would be compatible development. Significant open space corridor through to the north. Bruce,
realignment.
Thanks Chris. This intersection here, currently Dixon Drive is offset. It connects with Street and Drive, and then Unwin Place is offset. To improve that intersection, we're proposing a roundabout in this location, which would allow for much better access between across Street and Drive, but also along Street and Drive to access Unwin Place. Also, keeping in mind that with access from this Hilda Street here, and also from the north from Street and Drive, this area will have more opportunities for access and relieve the pressure that's currently around that part of Street and Drive, where people who want to go in have some difficulty because they queue, but then those people who are continuing along also need to be mindful of people who are queuing and sometimes queue out onto the two lanes of Street and Drive. So having further opportunities to access this area will relieve that intersection somewhat, but also provide a much better and safer intersection for vehicles.
Is there a thought to put pedestrian under or overpasses at that side also?
There's in terms of we've had a look at the cycleways. In terms of cycleways, we're looking at how this is an underpass to connect through, and that's a trunk cycleway that goes through into Civic. and you've got two options: one to go to the west of the pond or to the east of the pond. In terms, there is an underpass over here to allow access into this part of Weston currently. We also would allow access into this part of North Weston, and we're looking at the pedestrian access around this roundabout now.
Can you talk briefly about what's being done in combination of the intersection of Street and Drive and Copper Road, which is traffic lights at the moment, and I think it's going to end up as 4 lanes, and that proposed roundabout? Strikes me you would have a traffic mismatch if you're going to have unfazed control of traffic between those 2 points, which are only about 200 metres apart.
Absolutely, it's tricky. It's
probably the roundabout.
It's not one that we've just had a go at.
Phased traffic lights with Cotter Road intersection might be a better answer.
We're looking at how we can double lane the traffic from along Cotter Road down Street and Drive. Certainly, it's you know, to get smoother flow at the moment. As you're aware, it's 2 lanes to 1 lane, back into 2 lane. So we're looking at that. That's a major piece of intersection work that we're looking at right now. The original intention was to have this as signalised intersection, but it has issues as far as some of the queuing that would be happening at this intersection. So this is our second and third look and finer grain. Some more of the micro modelling for this is to have that as a roundabout with some queuing lanes back from that. That modelling work is still underway. There's feasibility and full design underway. One of the key issues for us is, one, is the impact of that intersection on this intersection, while still maintaining some pedestrian access around. But yeah, it's an area under investigation now, and we are acutely aware of it. Bruce? This has got more green on it than the previous version of it. This gives you an indication also of this type of subdivision, the scale of development possible in the area. This is an indication of the current subdivision in Weston. Here you get a feel that the subdivision or that housing scale to the south of Hyacinth Street would be of similar and compatible scale to the north, with a finer grain of a high density in the current AFP site, but in the previous proposal for aged persons in that area. Some higher density internal to the area. All this is not visible from existing Hyacinth Street or existing residents here. Retention of the arboretum, keeping in mind we need to do some further survey work to identify the significant trees in that area, and pulling back on the subdivision here to retain the buffering street trees around here, and some open space over here as well.
Do you expect there will be four-storey buildings on Unwin Place?
On Unwin Place, there's the opportunity to put higher density. Generally, where you put higher density, you put it next to higher amenity areas, and you don't want to just put higher density out in greenfield areas. You want to put it where it's either got public transport, it's got high amenity and public transport. That's the you get the double whammy. When you're talking about Weston Creek has, and I live in Weston Creek, and my parents live in Weston Creek, so I'm familiar with Weston Creek and the issues that are associated with it. I know that my parents and a lot of their friends are looking for areas where they could move and retire into, where they're close to their community, but also have safe and secure accommodation, whether it's ground floor, single story, or whether it's retirement villages that are 2 to 4 story, but still living within Kuia where they currently live now. The opportunity, if there is to be high density in that area, it would need to be near higher amenity areas, and the Arboretum the CIT Arboretum is one of those areas, and certainly around that pond that we talked about up north is another area where the opportunity for higher density associated with public transport is an opportunity to look at.
But the new timetable, there is none.
No, that's right. There's no houses there in Longla at the moment, so there's no point in putting a public bus route out there. But when the population is there,